Have you ever wondered why two people can face the same situation, yet live completely different outcomes? The difference is not always in their background, their resources, or even their intelligence. The difference is often in their thoughts. Your thoughts shape your tomorrow because every idea you allow into your mind is like a seed planted in the soul of your future. If you nurture fear, doubt, and defeat, your life will grow in that direction. But if you nurture courage, hope, and determination, you begin to shape a tomorrow filled with possibilities. Every thought is like a seed planted in the soil of your mind, and what you choose to think about consistently will eventually grow into the reality you live. Seeds may look small and insignificant when first placed into the ground, but given time, they sprout, take root, and bear fruit. In the same way, a single thought may seem harmless, but when it is repeated and nurtured, it begins to shape your habits, your actions, and ultimately your future. The world you are living in today is, in many ways, the harvest of the thoughts you entertained yesterday. This is why being intentional about your thought life is so critical. Imagine carrying a handful of seeds and scattering them without care. Some may grow into weeds that choke out your joy, while others might grow into trees that provide life and strength. The difference is not in the soil. It is in the seeds you chose to plant. When you allow thoughts of fear, defeat, and insecurity to dominate your mind, you are planting seeds that will grow into a future filled with limitation. But when you plant thoughts of hope, gratitude, and determination, you are sowing a harvest of growth and fulfillment. The influence of thoughts is not just philosophical, it is practical. If you spend your day repeating to yourself, I can't do this, then every challenge that arises will feel like a wall you cannot climb. That thought, like a seed, will grow into hesitation, inaction, and missed opportunities. But if you choose instead to say, I can learn, I can improve, I can try again, you are planting seeds of persistence that will grow into resilience and success. Your reality tomorrow is being quietly shaped by the thoughts you rehearse today. Even the smallest thought can carry incredible weight. A moment of doubt, if repeated daily, can become a lifetime of fear. A moment of faith, if repeated daily, can become a lifetime of courage. The seed does not look like the harvest, yet it contains the potential for everything that will come. This is why you must guard your mind with the same care that a farmer guards his fields. He knows that weeds left unchecked will take over the crop. In the same way, toxic thoughts, if left unchallenged, will take over your destiny. The beauty of this truth is that you always have the power to choose what you plant. Even if your past was filled with negative seeds, today you can begin planting new ones. You can decide to replace fear with courage, anger with forgiveness, scarcity with abundance. Over time, the new seeds will begin to grow and the old harvest will be replaced by a future of your choosing. It requires patience and consistency, but just as a field does not transform overnight, your life will change gradually as your new thoughts take root. Every thought is a seed, and your mind is the garden. The question is not whether you are planting seeds. The question is what kind. Because tomorrow will not be shaped by chance, but by the harvest of what you allowed yourself to think today. Choose your seeds wisely, and you will create a future filled with life, growth, and purpose. Negative patterns are like invisible shadows that quietly follow you, often unnoticed, yet they carry the power to sabotage growth and destiny. They don't arrive suddenly with loud alarms. They creep in slowly, hidden in everyday thoughts, repeated behaviors, and small choices. These patterns may start as simple doubts or quiet fears, but over time, they shape the way you see yourself, the way you respond to challenges, and the way you pursue opportunities. What makes them dangerous is not just their presence, but their subtlety. They convince you that nothing is wrong while quietly steering you away from the future you were meant to live. One of the most common negative patterns is self-doubt. When you constantly question your worth or abilities, you train your mind to hesitate, to play small, and to avoid risks that could lead to growth. A person with potential may shrink back from opportunities because the thought pattern in their head whispers, "You're not ready," or "You'll fail if you try." Over time, these repeated doubts become a wall, and without even realizing it, you live trapped behind it. The destiny that once seemed possible becomes unreachable, not because it was taken from you, but because the pattern of self doubt closed the door. Another way negative patterns sabotage destiny is by creating cycles of fear. Fear is powerful because it stops movement. Even when the path ahead is open, fear convinces you to stay where you are. It disguises itself as caution, telling you it's safer not to try, not to speak, not to step forward. But in truth, fear keeps you standing still while your destiny waits for you to move. Growth requires forward motion, and fear-based thinking robs you of that progress. Negativity also changes the way you see the world around you. Instead of viewing challenges as opportunities to learn, negative patterns train your brain to see them only as threats. This distorted lens makes you blind to possibilities. Where someone else sees a door opening, you see only another chance to fail. Where someone else sees potential, you see danger slowly. This way of thinking conditions you to expect the worst. And when you expect the worst, you often find it because your choices align with that belief. The most subtle sabotage of negative patterns is how they affect relationships. When you carry constant negativity in your thoughts, it spills into your words and actions. It can push people away, create unnecessary conflicts, or make it difficult for others to trust you with opportunities. Since destiny often unfolds through connections and collaborations, negativity can cut off the very support systems designed to help you succeed. The tragedy is that many people live unaware of these patterns. They believe life is holding them back, when in reality, it is their own thought cycles keeping them stuck. The good news is that patterns, no matter how strong, can be broken. Once you recognize them, you can challenge them, replace them, and create new ones that align with growth and purpose. Negative patterns may be silent, but their impact is loud. They sabotage growth by keeping you small and sabotage destiny by convincing you to settle for less. But the moment you choose to confront them, the moment you decide to replace them with thoughts of hope, courage, and truth, the sabotage ends and the journey toward your true future begins. Daily focus is one of the most powerful forces that shapes your life because whatever you consistently give your attention to expands. The mind is like a lens, and what you focus on becomes magnified, influencing not only how you feel in the moment, but also the choices you make and the future you create. Every person has the same 24 hours in a day, but the results of those hours differ drastically because of focus. If your attention is scattered on distractions, worries, and negativity, your energy drains away, leaving little strength for growth. But if your focus is clear and directed with intention, your mind becomes a tool that creates new possibilities and opens doors that once seemed closed. Focus is not about ignoring reality, but about choosing which part of reality to emphasize. Two people can face the same circumstances, but live completely different outcomes because of where they place their attention. One focuses only on obstacles and concludes that progress is impossible. The other focuses on solutions and opportunities and finds a way forward. The circumstances are the same, but the focus creates two very different realities. This is why daily focus is not just helpful, it is essential. It trains your mind to look for growth even in the midst of struggle. The truth is, focus directs the brain's energy. Science shows us that the brain strengthens whatever it repeatedly practices. If you constantly focus on problems, your brain becomes wired to detect negativity. But if you choose each day to focus on gratitude, hope, and solutions, your brain begins to notice opportunities it once overlooked. Focus is like planting seeds in the mind. Whatever you water grows stronger. If you water discouragement, that is what will dominate your reality. If you water resilience and faith, your future will grow in that direction. Daily focus also builds habits. A person who wakes up each morning with a clear intention to grow will shape their choices around that focus. They might read, learn, or take small steps toward their goals. Over time, these small actions compound into transformation. On the other hand, a person who starts each day without direction is easily pulled into distractions. Hours wasted on meaningless tasks, energy drained by negativity. Their life reflects the lack of focus, not because they lacked potential, but because they lacked intention. This is why it is not enough to think positively once in a while. Transformation requires consistent focus day after day. Each time you redirect your attention toward what empowers you, you strengthen the pathways in your brain that make it easier to choose that focus again tomorrow. With time, focus becomes your default state, guiding you naturally toward growth. Daily focus creates possibilities because it opens your mind to see what was hidden. When your attention is directed toward what you want to build, your brain begins scanning the environment for opportunities, resources, and solutions. What others miss, you begin to see. What once looked impossible becomes achievable because as your focus shows you a new way forward. Your life will always move in the direction of your dominant focus. If you want a future filled with growth, strength, and fulfillment, then train your attention to rest on thoughts that empower you. Daily focus is not just about managing today, it is about building tomorrow. Each day you direct your mind with intention, you are quietly shaping a future filled with new and greater possibilities. Every life is shaped by the stories we tell ourselves. Some of those stories are rooted in truth, while others are lies that crept in through pain, failure, or the opinions of others. The lies often sound convincing. You're not good enough. You'll never change. You don't deserve success, or this is just who you are. Over time, these lies settle into the mind, becoming beliefs that dictate behavior. The danger is not just in hearing these lies, but in living by them. They quietly chain you to a false identity, keeping you from the life you were created to live. That is why replacing lies with empowering truths is the key to unlocking freedom. A lie has power only when it is believed. If you accept the thought that you are incapable, you will hesitate to act, retreat from opportunities, and sabotage your own growth. If you believe you are unworthy, you will tolerate mistreatment, avoid healthy relationships, and settle for less than you deserve. These patterns are not the result of external barriers alone. They are the fruit of lies planted in the mind. The first step toward freedom is recognizing that these thoughts are not facts, but distortions. They are illusions that feel real because you have rehearsed them for so long. Replacing lies with truth is not about repeating empty words. It is about reprogramming the mind to align with reality. Truth says you are capable of growth. That change is possible, that your past does not define your future. Truth says you have value. That resilience lives inside you, and that each day holds new potential. When you begin to practice these truths daily, you give your brain new instructions. At first, the lies may seem louder, but every repetition of weakens their hold. Over time, the truths grow stronger until they become the dominant voice shaping your decisions. Science supports this process through the principle of neuroplasticity. Each thought you repeat strengthens a neural pathway in the brain. Lies that have been rehearsed for years build strong pathways that feel automatic. But when you begin replacing those lies with empowering truths, new pathways are formed. The more you practice them, the stronger they become until they eventually override the old patterns. This means that freedom is not just emotional, it is physical, written into the wiring of your brain through consistent practice. The beauty of truth is that it opens doors that lies kept closed. Lies confine you to fear, but truth empowers you to act with courage. Lies make you shrink back, but truth makes you step forward. Lies tell you to give up, but truth gives you the strength to try again. As you replace lies with truths, you begin to live differently, not because your circumstances have changed overnight, but because your perspective has. And when perspective changes, choices change. When choices change, your destiny changes. Freedom comes when you stop agreeing with the lies that hold you back and start agreeing with the truths that lift you forward. It is not a one-time event, but a daily practice. Each day, you have the chance to silence the false voices and declare the truth about who you are and what you are capable of. Over time, this practice becomes second nature, and the chains of lies that once controlled your life lose their power. Replacing lies with empowering truths is not just positive thinking. It is reclaiming your identity, your purpose, and your future. It is the key to unlocking freedom, because once your mind is free, your life can finally follow. Transformation is often imagined as something sudden and dramatic, a breakthrough moment where everything changes at once. But in reality, lasting transformation is usually the result of small, consistent mental shifts made day after day. These shifts may seem minor at first, barely noticeable, even easy to dismiss, but when practiced consistently, they build upon each other, creating powerful momentum that reshapes your entire life. Just like drops of water that slowly carve through stone, small daily changes in your thinking can create profound long-term results. A mental shift can be as simple as choosing gratitude over complaint. One moment of gratitude might not transform your life immediately, but when repeated every day, it begins to rewire your outlook. You start noticing the good instead of dwelling on the bad. Over time, this practice cultivates resilience because when difficulties arise, your mind is already trained to search for what is still possible, what is still working, and what can still grow. This shift builds strength that will carry you through challenges that once felt overwhelming. Another small shift is moving from self-criticism to self-compassion. Many people have an inner voice that constantly judges, blames, and belittles. Replacing that voice with one that says, I made a mistake, but I am learning, or I am growing each day. It may seem insignificant, yet with repetition, it breaks cycles of shame and discouragement, creating space for courage and persistence. This single shift allows you to keep moving forward instead of giving up when things go wrong. Daily mental shifts also influence how you use your focus. If you start each day deciding to focus on solutions instead of problems, your brain learns to scan your environment for opportunities instead of obstacles. Science shows that the brain strengthens whatever patterns it practices. By repeatedly choosing empowering thoughts, you create new neural pathways, and with time, those pathways become your automatic responses. What once felt like effort, choosing hope, choosing courage, choosing faith, becomes natural because your brain has been rewired through practice. The compounding power of these small shifts is what makes them transformational. A single choice may not seem like much, but choices stack. A day of gratitude leads to a week of hope. A week of hope leads to a month of resilience. A month of resilience leads to a year of progress. And a year of progress can change the entire direction of your destiny. The power lies not in one grand leap, but in the steady accumulation of consistent steps. Lasting transformation is built the same way a strong foundation is built, brick by brick, day by day. The mind becomes what it is trained to be. Every small shift in your thinking is like adding a new brick, strengthening the structure of who you are becoming. Over time, these bricks form a new identity, a new way of living, and a new future. Small daily mental shifts may not feel dramatic in the moment, but they are the quiet architects of transformation. When practiced faithfully, they compound into results far greater than you could imagine, turning simple choices into the building blocks of a lasting, powerful change in your life.